All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back again to another episode of the Coffee Q&A, number 191. Can you believe it? 191. How you all doing tonight? What's going on? Jay here with your weekly Thursday night hang on the OnoLive channel. Good to have all of you with us. So if you're joining us, let me know where you are and what you're smoking and what you're drinking, what you're doing. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So last week we were in Los Angeles and had a great time. Went to a place called Le Comptoir. The last live stream was on the way to Lake Comptoir. This week we are back in Baltimore again. As you can see here, you can see there's a little bit of umbrella going on here because it's been a little bit rainy. So I thought that I'm going to be outside. So let's just keep a little coverage here just in case. So what's going on? How are y'all doing today? Good to hear from you. Good to see all of you. We're going to get into it. We got some cigars. We got some stuff. We got some drinks to make. It's going to be a nice time, I think. But we're going to start off with the toy that I got. Brian, what's going on, man? How are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. So before I left from my trip, about almost near 2 weeks ago, I ordered this thing that I've been wanting to buy for quite a while. And it's something called the Searzall Pro. And this is from a group called Booker and Dax. They were a bar in New York City run by a crazy guy named oh no. I listen to this thing all the time. Anyway, Booker and Dax is his sons, Andrew. Is it Andrew? Oh my gosh, man. You guys would know who I'm talking about. Why can't I remember? Right off the top of my head, I can't remember. What's up, Craig? Good bald heads with us. A little bit of umbrella here too. Just finished mowing the lawn. You know, one thing I have my truck parked out here, right there. And last week or 2 weeks ago when we did this out here, I left the truck overnight, and then I forgot that in Friday mornings the mowing guys come, and so they kind of had to mow around the truck. So right after I left, right before I left, there was a patch on the grass here that was just like still kind of long. And now that I've been looking, when I drove up here, I was like, man, the grass is already kind of long from this past weekend for sure. No matter if these guys come, rain or shine, man, they're cutting the lawn because they're getting their money out of it. So, but at least it's getting cut. So there's no complaints there. What's going on there, Mom? How are you, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you again. But like I said, so Searzall Pro is from, darn it, why can I not remember his name? I'm totally like all over it when I'm talking to other people about it. And I can't remember his name offhand, but he's a great, he's got his own podcast called Cooking Issues. And I listen to it all the time. I was just listening yesterday on the way back from Boston. Dave Arnold. There we go. Dave Arnold. So, yeah. And Brian just finished mowing the lawn during the light rain. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Tony's with us as well. What's going on, Tony? So this is the Searzall Pro. This is actually the second version of the Searzall. If you might be familiar with it, the original Searzall was something that you attached to a propane bottle, and it would help to sear whatever food. And I've been wanting to buy the original Searzall. And then Dave posted or he said something on his podcast or whatever. He's like, I got some more left because I was trying to buy one maybe a few months ago and they were out. And he's like, I got some more left. So if you want one, order one right away. So I jumped online and got one, Searzall Pro. And what this is, let's open it up here. I don't know if I showed you this before. I might have showed this to you before on one of the other live streams. But basically, here it is. Bald head saying, I'm thinking about buying one of those robot mowers for the new to me house. Oh, nice, man. Congratulations on the new house. That's awesome. So this is it, right? You kind of, it's an attachment where this screen radiates more heat across a larger surface. There's kind of this white, I don't know what that is. Maybe some kind of like asbestos or something in there too. I don't know what it does, but there's a shield here to protect you. And you connect this to either propane or to MAP gas. I did go out and buy a MAP gas torch, the Duracast 8000. This is the big boy from Burns-O-Matic, right? This is like $65 at Home Depot. I need to get a discount code at Home Depot so I can buy more stuff. Like I have a discount at Williams-Sonoma. I need to do that. And so we're gonna open this up. This is a MAP gas. MAP gas has higher heat, right? What does map mean? I don't know. Bud might be able to tell us more because this is really his realm. But the map gas produces higher heat, so it's a lot better. And I guess for this purpose, so he's got the nice controller. One of the problems that I have with like these propane torches, I got a couple of them around, and one of the problems that I have is that they're around and families around or whatever's around, and like people keep using them for like real projects. And I'm like, hey, this is for the kitchen only. Please do not use it to to like weld shit with it. And I'm like, stop doing that. But anyway, here's the Bernzomatic 8000. There is a 4000. They say do not use the 4000. I guess it's not as good or whatever. But you've got your ignition here, and then you have your trigger that lock. This is the trigger. This is the ignition and the lock. I think that's how it works. Is that right? And then you've got the valve opens and close. So that's what it is. We're gonna let tonight's cigar. We're gonna try. We're gonna try. We're gonna try. Is there a new smoking facility at the new place there, Craig? We want to know. We want to know. We're gonna make a road trip. Time for a road trip, so you can lock it in place, right like that. Okay, now we have to look at the directions. There are some specific directions on how to use the Searzall and how to set it up. So I don't want to like waste the Searzall. It would be a shame not to do it correctly. All right, so it comes with some instructions, like don't do this and don't do that. And of course, I can't read a darn thing on this thing. Okay. Oh, I was going to use the phone to take a photo, but the phone is what's broadcasting. The Searzall must be properly. Darn it. Let me see. Searzall. I've got my laptop here. Searzall Pro manual. I think there was an online manual earlier. This will be a lot easier than me trying to read this orange thing. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave, because we're all kind of old now. Can't see. Can't do any of these things. Put this away. Put this away. I'm going to keep the Searzall box because, it's kind of cool. Kind of cool. Craig says, I have some ideas for underneath the existing deck. Deck is off the upper floor. Oh, nice. Very nice. Very nice. We like that. So these are $120. Right. All right. Here's the manual. Let's see what they say. Now, one of the things they say on these that don't use the map gas 8000. And I don't use it without. There's some kind of stand that they sell, but I couldn't find the stand that goes to the bottom here to stabilize it. I couldn't find it. I sent a message to Dave. I said, if you're watching, if you ever see this, Dave, where do I get this stand? Like, I don't want to be dangerous, right? I don't want to burn down the place. Okay, so there has to be a proper air gap. So they have this thing here. We're going to unloosen. We're going to loosen this up. We have Golf Bum with us. What's going on, man? How are you doing? Good to see you. Got the big guns going on. All right, let's see here. Make sure the back of the Searzall Pro sleeve is flush with the flange on the adapter. There's an adapter. I think this is all together, right? This is all ready. So it shows me this Searzall. This looks different. Right? Look at that. Look at that. That looks different than this. Golf says that. Oh, Young, it's Young. What's going on, young man? Good to see you, man. How you been, man? Good to see you. So you changed your name? Is that what's going on? Saw your gun show. That was prime. Yeah, they totally kicked me off. Those of you might not be familiar. I do a live stream at 10 a.m. on the main channel, and I was in California for the for this memorial for my friend who was in paintball. I was showing the paintball marker that he made for me, and it was really amazing. And like, it's a paintball marker, but evidently there is a firearms on live stream prohibition, so you can't show live firearms on live streams. Otherwise, you can get banned. And so they deleted that. They stopped it midstream and deleted the video. They said that they didn't have a strike against me because they realized that, okay, I don't know those things, and I don't really know those things. And so, yeah, there it was. There it was. So glad to see you, man. Good to see you. How's things? How's the married life doing? All right. Use includes spacing stick. There's a spacing stick. There's some kind of tape here. I don't know what this tape is. I should probably remove that. Because, oh, that's just there to keep. Oh, there's a set screw. That's what it is. Okay, there's a set screw that needs an Allen wrench that is not provided. Or maybe it is provided. Hold on now. There's a baggie here. Let me look at that. I didn't look inside the bag. Oh, here's the full manual instead of the quick setup. There is a tool in here. Oh, here's the stick. So it comes with a setup stick and an Allen key. So I'm going to put that here. Okay, so I think this stick, right, this stick is supposed to go here. And this is supposed to provide the spacing for the air gap between this and that. Right? Okay, there it is. Do that. I'm going to turn this. I think that's lined up. We want to line it up. We want to line it up, right? Line it up. Oh, I don't know what that does. Oh, maybe. So I just screwed this in, but this doesn't really tighten it onto the nozzle. So I think that tightening is just with this screw. Okay, yeah, there we go. That's it. Pull that out because that can't be there. And then I think this is if I want to change the orientation. No, it just, oh, I can take it off. Oh, so this is the adapter. Okay, forget that. We're not going to take that off. I'm going to leave that on there. There it is, attached. Next thing we have to do is to so we can sear, as evidently it says, we can sear from this angle to this angle. But this angle is too much. So you want it from here to there. Now, I did see something about having to burn it a certain way for a few minutes. Because it says the important part is the set spacing is super important because it can cause the the heat, whatever, to burn out the elements. So we have to be careful with that. I did see something earlier where they're talking about having to burn it facing down. All right, let's see here. There was something I saw before. Now I can't find it. Maybe it's on their main page. Oh, here it is. Initial use. There's a page for initial use. George is with us. What's going on, George, man? Good to see you. Good to see you, man. So Brian's asking, I thought you need air gap. There is an air gap, as you can see right here. If you can see that as well. Let me try to get the angle better. You see that little gap right there? It has to be at 1/8 of an inch, and you use this stick, this included stick, to help you get the thing. Golf bum. It was golf bum. I don't know why I saw gun bum. Sorry, man. My eyes are getting all old and crazy, old and crazy. All right, so I think we're ready. It does say here, there is a page for initial use instructions talking about important to get the eighth to spacing um, where the Searzall front screen is parallel to and at least 4 feet from the floor. Okay, so here it's pre-seasoning. There it is. Before using the Searzall for the first time, you must complete the following first step. Once the Searzall is perfectly properly attached, ignite the torch and hold it in a position where the Searzall front screen is parallel to and at least 4 feet from the floor. It must remain in this position for 2 full minutes. All right. Okay. Now, and then once it's pre-seasoned, it'll be ready to use. And it says that pre-seasoning the Searzall is crucial to the proper function of the product. Failure to do so will compromise the structure of the screens. Okay, we don't want that to happen. So let's get the gas ready. We got the map gas here. We'll take the threading covers off, the protectors. Come on, baby. Why is that so difficult? Okay, that. I haven't used map gas in a long time. Maybe I should be using more map gas. All right, let's try this. Okay, now hold it down for 2 minutes. 17. Oh, should that happen? Hey, that's scaring me. Should this be on fire? If it explodes, be sure to call 911. I'm a little bit freaked out. But I'm not seeing any flame running back here to the air gaps in the thing, so. It's only been 45 seconds. This is like very disconcerting. This is terribly disconcerting. Oh, sorry if we got a little cut off line. Just call me. Tony, I said to call it. We are, we are 18, 20 more seconds. Oh, my God, this is scared the crap out of me. All right, we're going to, brand new Dave Arnold's. All right, that's it. 2 minutes. The thing is glowing. Look at that thing. Holy smokes. Well, happily, it did not explode. Let me turn the light on. So we are very pleased with that. But look, it did change the color of everything. So, that's a positive. That's a positive thing. It did not explode. I am pleased that it did not explode. Okay, we're going to put this down and let it cool down a bit. Because it does say here that, I will show you in a moment. Let me just put all this stuff away here before I lose some of these components. Thank you guys for being so concerned that I might blow up. I'm glad I didn't. So it does kind of smell. That was a little bit crazy. It's still, look at that, it's still glowing, man. This is why you have to have the base on it. Otherwise, it's like crazy. Let's see here. What's going on with this thing? Gosh, it looks like I'm so dark, doesn't it? Why am I so dark here? It's a little bit crazy. All right, so that's the Searzall. Wow, it is still brightly burning. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to, I do have a fire to light. I'm going to show you this fire. So let's light the fire. Where is it? Can't see anything anymore. Everything's all like discombobulated here. I don't know if I can light a fire. All right, let's try this again. I gotta say, this thing is no joke. This is like a fire stick, so. Okay, one of the things we have to keep in mind is that this thing is incredibly hot. And it is, they do have a recommendation on here to, whoops, they say you want to have the base for it. And now that we've seen this thing in action and how much heat it's giving out, I can totally get why we want to have that. That was a little bit crazy. So let's go back a little bit. Tony says he's taking a break for a page from George's book, Wiseman Maduro Toro, from Foundation and a Diet Cherry Pepsi. My Father's Cigars version, not the original. Oh, okay, not the original from Aganorsa. And then Brian says, when I keyed in Golf Bum, it connected to Golf Bug, whoever the hell Golf Bug. I don't know who that guy is. That guy's crazy. And Tony says, turn that thing off now. Yeah, no doubt. And it's a much bit of a more of a sear than I expected. Certainly, definitely more than I was expecting. I was like, oh my gosh, that was a bit. We'll have to put that in a highlights reel or something. But he says he was not getting air because it said they have it straight down. So that's what I'm saying. It's like on their initial use. This is the initial use. Let me turn down so you can see it. On the initial use, right here on the left side, you can see that it says under pre-seasoning, right? It says here. Oh, come on! Why are you this thing? You know, it does auto shutter, but it won't do enough for like the darkness, but it will do that for that. But basically says here, the torch must remain in this position for a full 2 minutes. That's why I was holding it for the 2 minutes. But man, I was definitely pretty stressed out. Pretty stressed out. Oh yeah, exactly, man. I was like, if this is gonna blow up, man, I'm gonna be in trouble. I'm in trouble. George says, I thought the Deep Creek episode was disastrous. This week, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. I appreciate the concern. I appreciate the concern. And then Craig says, tonight's smoke is the Partagas 898, varnished again with the Havana Club Smoky. If I remember correctly, the previous 898 was 15 years old. Is that right? 15? Why is this thing like getting all dark? And Maria was just sorry, Maria. Don't mean to stress you out as well. You can get a base for that size of gas cylinder from REI. I will look for that. I will look for that. They on their website or on something that I read, in the instructions, they say they have a base for it. So I was like, okay, let me have that base. I'll get that base and then I won't have to worry about it. But yeah, that's not working out. And the fire is taking forever to light. Please light quickly. George is having the Foundation Olmec tonight's first cigar. Oh, only right now is the first cigar. Okay. Okay. And Tony says, I was having flashbacks of Ed trying to figure out to light his camping stove. And I was almost going to use that Firefly stove tonight. But tonight I busted out this old school, well, not this new school butane burner. So I'm going to light that up because it's time for us to start getting some coffee ready. Oh, there's so much mess and confusion over here. Let me just get some stuff in order. So I got my MSI kettle here to brew up our coffee. And I brought the lightsaber too, so we don't have to worry too much. So for this, we just turn on the gas. This should be a little bit more mellow. Maybe not so mellow. Gosh, that seemed out of control too. All right, tonight's cigar comes to us from Teofilo Coffee in the in Los Alamitos, California. It was a coffee that I used on today's live stream this morning, and I used one of their other coffees on Friday's live stream. Teofilo Coffee is this place here in Los Alamitos in California that my friend was telling me about. He's like, hey man, this guy's all about Philippine coffee. So I went down there on Thursday when I first arrived in LA to go check it out. Met the owner happened to be there, so that was pretty cool. And we got to talking, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm all about Philippine coffee. I want only Philippine coffees. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty hardcore. You got only Philippine coffees? That's pretty heavy duty. Brian says, I'm smoking the Plasencia Alma del Fuego, 6.5 by 38. Nice. And 16 years on that 858. Excellent. I do remember something about that. But he says, he opened up an old box of VSGs and water due to the sugars. So this coffee today is what they call the Bulatacan, which is from the Mindanao and Davao del Sur, the southern part of the Philippines. This is the coffee here. I've got it in an origami brewer. We're going to brew it up with origami. I wonder maybe if I just turned on more lighting. Would I get brighter lighting? Would that help? I don't know if that's doing anything. I wish I could turn like the problem with the iPhone is that I found this out during my trip to Vegas. There's no iris control. It's only one iris setting, and all it does is change the shutters, which is, to my mind, that's quite irritating. Let me get this out of the way. Fire looks like it's starting, but it needs to get more fire. We need more fire. I need wood. But just look at that. That's looking rather pathetic. But it's starting to spread. I'm going to have to add some. Well, I'll let it burn a little bit more and then maybe add some wood in just a little bit. Oh, high sugar content in the VSGs. Gotcha. So is it sweeter in some way, or is it just, how does that affect it? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. I'm going to wait for the water to boil. Tonight's cigar is the La Aroma de Cuba Pasion Robusto. I don't know much about it. It's a cigar by La Aroma de Cuba. Looked kind of interesting, so I thought I'd buy it. I don't recall how much it cost. Oh, it's already boiling. It's already boiling. It's already boiling. Look at that. It's already boiling. Let me turn that off. And we're just going to brew. We're just going to do a real simple brew here. Nothing too fancy, right? Brew it up here. Oh, I need to take, I can't take it off, but I can like give it a little bit of space. Okay, maybe not the most perfect pour there. Did you split the wood with your new axe? I did not. Oh, this one I did not. I split a little bit with the new axe. Actually, I used for since right now I'm on the small pieces. Right, I'm on the small pieces to start the fire. I just use my hatchet. My Collins hatchet is here, and I created some little kindling pieces with the hatchet. Bud says sugars means diabetes. I'm drinking water because of diabetes instead of juice and soda. Well, you should be having coffee, because coffee doesn't have any sugars and it's much more healthy than. So what was up with that? Look at the way that it's this exposure of this silly. Like if I hold my hand here, I get exposed better, and I'm still much further distance. Oh, we need to brew more coffee. We just got to brew the coffee. iPhone sucks, man. I'm brewing this into my little pour over, into my thermal mug here that my nephew gave to me several years ago. Fire's starting to catch, which is good. But I'm getting some nice fruit notes. This morning I was getting like jackfruit, durian kind of notes. Maybe it's getting better or different. How much coffee's left? Well, we have a little bit more to go. I don't know if I need more lighting out here or what, or a better camera. I don't know. Because if I hold this here, right, look at that. See, if I put this finger up here, which would be hotter because it's closer to the light source, it exposes my face better. That is just dumb iPhone. Dumb. See, here it goes again. Brian says, since I won't have diabetes till next year, I'm glad that you've got it scheduled. That's good to see. I'm having Rita's. Maria's friend dropped it off, and she owns a Rita's at York. Ooh, give us some Rita's. Bring us some to us. All right, so let me tend this fire now. So here's our fire. Can't see the fire yet. Hold on 1 second. Maybe if I turn off the light. I got the light running. What if I turn that off? Does that change anything? Can you see any fire there? This fire is not burning. I think I'm gonna have to use some of the Burnzall box to help out. Okay, putting some more wood. You can't really see it, but I'm putting more wood on the fire, trying to get it going. right, there's some more light. There's some more light running. Does that help? Does that help? I don't know if that helps. God, look at that. I feel like all like spooky looking. Okay, maybe that's better. Maybe that's better. I feel like I'm all like in the Day of the Dead or something like that. Look at that. It's all like, Brian says, that's not a major fire. No, that's not a major fire. That is a almost burnt out fire. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. We're going to let it burn. Hopefully it'll catch. Now, let's see if I turn this light on. Will that help? Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're good to go now. Let's try our coffee. The coffee's all brewed up. Oh, it's pretty darn hot. Pretty darn hot. I'll cover that up and I'm going to wait for that a while. Okay, all right. I can move over here. Hopefully this thing will catch on the flame. I don't know what it's doing. I'm having difficulty getting this fire lit, probably maybe because of the wetness. I don't know. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Got our humidor. Actually, I only keep the weak cigar in it. And today we've got the Aroma de Cuba. I picked this up when I was at Widmer's Tobacco in Pennsylvania a couple months ago, or however long it was. Robusto size, and it cost $10.75. So, not a bad price point. I would like it to be below $10, but George says, put the coffee by the fire. It'll cool it down. I bet it will. All right, so here's our cigar. Oh, last week's cigar, the Cusano 18-year-old Maduro Churchill that we were smoking in LA. I finally did the calculations on that. It turned out to be 68. So far the lowest ranking for the year. And, it really wasn't that entertaining. So I'm not surprised. So let's have a look here. It feels pretty silky. Like the wrapper doesn't look so nice, right? It looks a little bit rough, but it feels silky. Like it's got a nice feel. Light manure, very light manure. And interesting. It does feel maybe a little bit quite hydrated, maybe because it's been out here and or for the last hour or so. But it's been in the box, so I don't know. We're going to use our Tonino Lamborghini cutter to do our cutting. All right. Let's do some tasting. Draw very easy, very free-flowing. A little bit of tropicality on the palate. A little bit of pineapple-y kind of tropicality. Interesting. Brian, when you were saying before to me that the VSG has a tropicality, this is the one time. The one time I got the VSG, this reminds me of that. A little bit of sweetness, little bit of spicy. Like the spice is really light, but it's more like the tajin, that spice from Mexico. So I'm going to say that the fragrance is very, very good. Just 8. Cold draw 8. I'm going to say 8 for the cold draw and fragrance. So let's get into the lighting. Oh, should we do the let's look at the Searzall. Can we light this with the Searzall? Open the valve. Now there's a bit of flame coming off the top. So I'm just going to use that to roast it. I think we need to rotate it pretty constantly. Each of these nap gas bottles are like 15 bucks. I wonder how fast I'm going through those. I probably should have bought another one. I gotta be careful not to roast the side of the cigar, right? But there's a lot of flame on this thing. Look at this. Looks like the surface of the sun. I don't even know where to put the tip of the cigar. We're almost there. I think I got it. Look at that thing. It's like the brightness of the sun. So the lighting went pretty well. Now, but you can see how hot this thing is, right? So, like, they say they really need the base. Now you really see why you need the base, because this thing is not necessarily like it's not terribly top heavy, but it will topple. And at the heat of this thing, if it topples, that would burn something. So the fire is slowly catching. What if I was what if I just use that? Let's see. Like it's kind of caught in the middle bit. I'm gonna leave it there for a moment. Oh yeah, baby. But it hasn't ignited the wood yet, though. I think the wood is a little bit on the wet side now. Like the first few puffs of the La Aroma de Cuba, actually really nice. No doubt about that. It certainly seems that way. Gosh, that is a lot more than light. There must have been a lot of rain here these last couple of days. All right. Maybe this fire is just not going to cooperate tonight. But the La Aroma de Cuba, wow, actually quite a nice first light. I like it. A little bit of spiciness to it. All right, let's sit back here. The fire refuses to light. I don't want to use accelerant. I'm kind of irritated that it doesn't want to light. What is this thing doing? Now I use the lightsaber, and it's like, won't, won't, won't. I thought it was catching earlier, but I guess not, man. I guess not. Oh, well. Tony says that is probably the best La Aroma de Cuba, man. You know what? I've had other La Aroma de Cubas. I don't really quite remember what they were like, but this one starting off really, really well. I'm really liking that. Georgia seems to agree. All right. Yeah, I'm liking it. You know, I went to a place in Long Beach. I ended up down in Long Beach on Sunday afternoon, and a buddy of mine needed a ride home from Gardena. We were in Gardena. So I gave him a ride home to Long Beach, and I was like, I need to find a cigar because I'm driving to San Diego the next day on Monday morning. And I looked up some cigar shops. And then I realized that, hey, I had a cigar shop that I had tagged from before when one of our friends, Eric, had called me. He was like, hey, any good shops down in Long Beach? I looked up a few places and found this place called Don Lupe, I think it's called Don Lupe. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to go down there and check it out. So I drove down there, met the son of the owner, a guy named Josue. And turns out they're from Nicaragua. They're from Matagalpa, which is the town about an hour from Esteli, right? So if you're familiar with Nicaragua and you're going to Esteli to visit the cigar places, you'll go on the national highway out of Managua, and then there's this town where the road splits. If you go to the right, you're going to Matagalpa. If you're going to the left, you're going to Esteli. And so basically, it's an hour to the right to Matagalpa, it's an hour to the left to Esteli, and they're kind of equidistant from each other, and it's an hour between the two. But Esteli, of course, is where the cigars, tobacco is grown, and Matagalpa is where mostly it's all coffee. And we're talking about, he's like, yeah, we're from Nicaragua and we're from Matagalpa. And I was like, oh, and we grow the tobacco in Matagalpa. And I was like, what? You grow tobacco in Matagalpa? Isn't it kind of like too high? Because Matagalpa now is like, you're 1,500 plus meters, whereas Esteli is a valley, right? Down in the valleys where all the tobacco grows. And they're like, we grow all the tobacco here or there in Matagalpa. And I was like, interesting, interesting. So they have a bunch of other cigars that they're selling, their humidor, but they also have their own line. So I was like, well, what are these different ones? Well, they're all the same. And evidently all the tobacco in the cigar is from Matagalpa. So, binder filler tobacco, binder filler wrapper are all Matagalpa tobaccos. And I was like, that is just very interesting. So I bought two cigars. I bought one that was like one of the banded ones that are the regular line, like a Robusto or maybe a Toro size. And then I also bought what they call kind of their experimental blend. It's this torpedo shape. And supposedly the same blend, I think. All Matagalpa tobaccos. I saved the one with the band for the show, and I thought, let me smoke this torpedo on the way to San Diego. Get in the car, light it up, going on. It tastes weird. Like it's weird. I don't know what to think about it. Like I'm starting to drive down. I'm like, is it funky? I don't know if it's funky. It's weird. It's weird. It's very unfamiliar. Very new flavors. Very different flavors. I'm thinking that it's because it's Matagalpan tobacco, right? That terroir from Matagalpa is going to be different. He said they got like 3 Cuban blenders and they're slowly making cigars and and they're a little bit pricey. They're like $15, $16, $17 a cigar, so they're not cheap. They're a little bit on the pricey side. Construction was nice, but as I'm smoking it and I'm like trying to understand, do I like it? Do I not like it? How do these flavors taste? And I realized that these flavors are actually, I'm really starting to enjoy it. Like I like the flavor combination. It's kind of a little bit of funkiness to it funkiness that it's different than the typical Nicaraguan tobaccos we're tasting. It's just a different flavor, one that I'm unfamiliar with. At the end of the day, by the time I was like into the first third, I was really enjoying it. Like I really liked it. I was like, oh, this is good. This is interesting. This is different. This is not the usual stuff I've been tasting. So eventually, we'll get to that one in a few weeks. I'll put that in the rotation, and we'll get to talk about it more. But it'll be from Don Lupe in Long Beach. Worthwhile trying. I think it's especially for all of you guys who are like everybody here is very well seasoned with cigars. This is different. It was different. I think it's worth investigating even at $15. So how's our cigar doing? Doing nicely. Actually burning well. Flavor's really nice. Nice spice. The fire, the wood refuses to light. Just too wet. It's got to be just too wet. And it's fairly humid again now, so that's not going to do us any good. Oh. Okay. Good spice. Little bit of darkness, a little undertone of darkness. but quite enjoyable. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. How does it go with our... I gotta find the right position here for me. How does it go with our coffee? Let's see how the coffee goes. Luckily, it's not too cold tonight, so I'm not really dependent on the fire. I was just thinking it'd be nice for ambiance. Nice and hot in this travel mug. Thanks, Ollie. I like that. Not sure what brand that is, but you can see the logo here. All right, so now that we've gotten over all of this, how are the cigars coming along? How is it going? I know you guys are smoking. George and Tony are smoking some of the Huehuenses. How are they coming along? You know, Brian's smoking the VSG old box for high sugar. I'm enjoying this quite immensely. Good smoke production. Nice, overall decent burn. Like, it's a little bit uneven. Typically, that's because of the way that I tend to draw on it. So last week when I was with you, we were in Los Angeles, and I was on the way to a place called Le Comptoir. Le Comptoir is one of these, you know, fine dining counter service places. Le Comptoir in French means the counter. And the chef there, Gary Menace, is alumni of the French Laundry. If you're familiar with French Laundry and Thomas Keller, they're you know, one of the best restaurants in America. And turns out Gary, the chef, was working for Thomas Keller in the late '90s and into the 2000s. So right at the during the era when all of that the French Laundry was becoming what it would become known to be the greatest restaurant. So he worked with people like Eric, and he worked with Yang. He said he trained Eric Yang. Eric Yang, is that right? Oh no, Corey Yang, I think it is. He trained them up. So interesting. But so we had this dinner, and it's all vegetarian. Like 7 courses of vegetables. Now, that's a little bit crazy. So you go there, and how I got there was that Rusty called. Rusty heard that I was, you know, he found when I posted that I was going to California, looking for coffee places. Rusty messaged me. He's like, "Hey, you're going to LA. You need to go check out Le Comptoir." And I was like, "Le Comptoir, really? All right." He's like, you know, he does like this really serious like coffee service for $18. I was like, "Oh, all right, let's go check it out." So I jumped online, and it's one of those places, 10 seats per night, and that's it. And all 10 people sit at the counter, and I jumped online, and I was like, "Oh, can I get a reservation?" And I was able to get a reservation. The base price is $175 plus tax and tip, turns to be a total of $230 for 7 courses. And if you want to have extras, you have to sign up for them. And there's actually an extra for the bread, an extra $26 for the bread. And I didn't realize at the time. My Rusty messaged me, "Did you get the bread?" And I was like, no. I was like, "There's a bread course?" He's like, "Yeah, you need to reserve that in advance." I was like, "All right." So I went back online, but I couldn't change the reservation. I just sent a message to the restaurant, said, "Hey, I would like to get the bread, please." Fast forward, I don't think they got it because I didn't get the bread. At least not the take-home bread that they're talking about. So it's in downtown. Well, it's in Koreatown, like you saw. So get to Koreatown, and it's at the Normandy Hotel on Normandy and I think 3rd. And first, you stop off in the Normandy Hotel. I was able to find street parking, which is really great. So I didn't have to pay the $20 at the reserve parking lot. You go in the Normandy Hotel, and the front desk guy is serving wine. He's like, "We have some wine for you. Have a seat, relax. When they're ready, they'll come and get you." So I thought it would be full at 10 people. Turns out there was only 5 reservations that night. And there was another couple there that if you see on my Instagram, you'll see the 2 other people that were there. The other couple didn't show up. And the interesting thing is, like, it's smart because, like, they charge you up front to make the reservation for the dinner. So if you don't show up, you don't show up. They still, but the restaurant's let out money, which is fine. But I was surprised there was only 5 people. Like, they're only open Wednesday through, I think, Saturday or Wednesday through Sunday. So there's only a total of like 40 or 50 places available per week. So it's pretty difficult. So you'd think it'd be pretty difficult, but it was only half sold out. But there's 2 guys, Alan and Gary. Alan is this Sioux. Turns out Alan used to be a barista, had his own coffee shop in Long Beach, sold it, and came to work for Gary to learn fine dining. And it's 7 courses of vegetable. And I keep saying that because it's kind of crazy, 7 courses for vegetables, right? And you're spending all this money for vegetables. I did that once before, many years ago, when I was in Paris. I went to a place called L'Arpège, another famous Michelin star restaurant. Went there. I didn't realize at the time when I went there, but I had their tasting menu, and that's a full, like, vegetable tasting menu. Like, I don't know what, these chefs are crazy, man. But L'Arpège at the time in 2008, when I was there, with the exchange rate from euros to dollars, turned out my dinner there cost $800. I was like, oh my God, man, I spent $800. I went there in February. I paid for that meal until May. It was really great. But I was like, man, that's craziness. But let's come to them. It starts out with the chef, Gary, coming out to tell you. He's like all friendly. He's explaining everything. He talks about the menu. These are the things. And they have these add-on additions to the menu that you can get. There's a truffle course with these truffles that are not the Alba truffles you're used to, with less bitterness. And then there's the wine pairings. You get 7 wine pairings. And I wasn't going to do that originally. It was like, I know people sometimes worry about that. They're big pours. These are all just enough for you to taste the food. That's an extra $125. There's a coffee service with a geisha from a coffee company called Say Coffee in New York, $18. And there was one more there's a cheese course add-on. So instead of getting the donut dessert, you get cheese course for an extra $25. Oh, and there's also a protein course where you get like a steak or something. I decided not to go with the protein part because you know what? I was like, let me see what they can do with vegetables. I mean, that's what they're thinking. Why do I want to go to beef just because I'm used to beef? I think that was another $50, $25. I don't know how much that cost. I didn't pay attention. I got it on the menu. I can look it up. But I don't remember all the courses out hand, but they were really good. They were really vibrant, tasty. I remember they had this composed vegetable dish that had just beautiful vegetables. So there was one, it had like an almond, it had, Brussels sprouts, so real bitter. And then it had like celery and peppers, so there was sweetness and a little bit of that little shishito that got a little bit of spice. And then there was one piece of mandarin that just kind of brought sweetness to it all. It was really well done. Like, that was really good. Another one that I thought was really great was there's a course much later that's supposed to be kind of like the unctuous course, where again, all vegetables, but with a sauce that they make, a vegetable sauce that had a real unctuous beefiness to it. Like, it was like you're eating beef. Like, it was like, is this veal or is this, vegetable? It was vegetable. It was really, really well done. It's been a week now. Well, what sticks out? One of the things that sticks out, the cheeses were excellent. The bread. So they offered the bread a couple of different courses. One with an egg. Oh, the egg one was really good. They had this egg dish. The egg was in like this small cast iron oval. Cast iron's heated. Put the egg in. It slowly cooks. Add vegetables to it. Some cheeses. Some grated cheese. Really just beautiful stuff. Yeah, I mean the umami in that one heavily savory sauce was just amazing. And that egg one was really great. So that came with a little bit of the bread, toasted, really beautiful. The bread evidently is a sourdough that's made from the mother that Gary has been keeping for the last 29 years. I was like, man, how do you go on vacation if you have a mother that you need to feed every day? Evidently, it'll refrigerate well, or somebody feeds it. So the bread was really great. The bread came in two different times, toasted, and just really just delicious bread, like really well done. The cheeses were great. And one of the nice accompaniments with the cheese is that they were telling me that they had these little tiny round fruity things. And I was like, what is this? Like it's got this, they've been roasting it the entire dinner. They have been roasting it, a little small. I was like, are these raisins? They're like, no, those are not raisins. Those are cotton candy grapes. And if you go to like Costco, you get or Giant, you get the cotton candy grapes. They're like this. These were like that. I was like, so, but I'm used to them being like, did they reduce? He's like, no, they're actually this small. We try to find the ones that are really small, flavor's a little more concentrated, and you roast it. And I was probably roasting for like 2 hours. But that roasting helped. It didn't shrink per se, but it kind of helped to concentrate the flavors. Just really a nice touch. And that was the final. That was like the dessert course. And they also gave us a little mousse, truffle mousse at the end, a little truffle. That was also very nice and thick. I don't know if it was made with a ganache, like it's a ganache, right? But I don't know if it was made with milk or not. I didn't ask. I didn't really even think to ask that until just this moment. And then they had the geisha. The geisha was very bright and light, typically of Say. Say is a coffee roaster in New York that's very much into this Nordic tradition where they want really, really light and bright coffees. So it was like that. And so very nice. I did get to say, I mean, on my Facebook post that Rusty had seen that I was kind of answering, I basically put out a post that said, hey, what's the real place in LA to go check out? Like, what's the coffee place to check out? And, a lot of people, some people would like give other places. And I'm like, I don't care about regular coffee shops. I'm not interested in that. I want something like interesting service. And this definitely had elements of that but it's a larger meal. So it's not just coffee. And the coffee, they basically brewed it kind of like a modified Nell drip. And so what they did, they would take the ground coffee. I think they said it was a 15-to-1 ratio. I shot video of the whole thing, so eventually I'll make a video about it and I'll release it to the main channel. But 15-to-1 ratio, I think it was hot water, coffee in like a container. Then they took the Nell drip and they poured it through the Nell drip. It's perfectly fine. Not really. I mean, it's a lightly roasted bright geisha. Like, honestly, if you had one, you've had them all at this point. It's like, all right, geisha, cool. Nice. Is it really any different than other? I don't know. But it's just about the overall experience was very enjoyable. And we're getting a little bit long here. I'm going to remove the bands because I'm getting a little bit nervous about the length of this. Oh, see, it just fell. That's why I was getting nervous. So take that band off. I'm going to take both bands off. So far, so good. Very good. Easily very good. 8, maybe even 8.5. And I think we're probably through the first third. It's not a heavy-bodied cigar. It's a very medium-bodied cigar, but qualitatively, I still say very good. 8.5 again. So, 8.5. So nice. Craig says, not your preference. Yeah, I mean, I'm really, I can enjoy light roasted coffee, but that's not really my thing. Like I like to see more development in the roast. And as the service was finishing, so So the chef comes out and he talks before service begins. And then he's like, he basically tells everybody, when service begins, I'll switch to my focus mode, and Alan does all the talking. So Alan did all the talking for most of the meal, for pretty much the entire meal. And then after the meal was done, we got to talking. Really nice guy. Really enjoyed talking with him. And like a lot of chefs, very strong in their opinion. And he's very much an anti-natural guy, which is fine. I know plenty of guys in coffee that hate naturals. For me, I don't hate any of those things. Like for me, the coffees have a place because depending on the guest that wants coffee, that likes coffee, or depending on the needs of your coffee program, you need to understand, as a coffee professional, you need to understand the spectrum to find what's the correct for that situation. But I definitely lean more to, if I was drinking on my own, I like naturals. I like a little more medium roasted coffee, a little more of that sweetness, a little more of that development out of the coffee. Not terribly a fan of the light, bright coffees, as much as I'm not a fan of heavy bitter IPAs. Like I think people that like IPAs, especially the more bitter, the ones that really taste like you're drinking marijuana, I think those people are the same people that like the bright, acidic coffees. I think they go ahead. I think. Craig says, I must admit, I only like really clean naturals. Yeah, I hear you. I'm with you. So how's that 858 coming along? I'm getting a little bit of a burn issue right here. I see that little, like, this little plateau there. It's not burning. And I think it's starting to affect the flavor. But it is a pleasant night. I am wearing like a fleece vest under this sweatshirt type of pullover or zip up. But it's pleasant. Like I'm not cold in the head. It's just nice. It would be nicer if my fire didn't actually fire up. But, guess you can't have everything in life. How's the coffee doing? Still darn hot, but you can taste more of this natural. It is, this one, Craig, I think you'd like this. It is very clean. This morning I had it tasting more like durian. Like Keone said, it probably sounds like I was describing more like durian, but kind of like a funky tasting jackfruit. Now it's not like that. It doesn't have that same funk. I mean, the brewing process is a little bit different. Like this morning, the brewing process was a little bit more exacting than this evening's brewing. It was a little more helter-skelter. Brian says, I just ordered a box of tonight's cigar from Atlantic. How much are they charging for that? This was like $10.75. The 898 is burning slanted. Oh, that's too bad. I think I need to rotate cigars left in the palm. Maybe. I wonder if that has to do with I wonder if that dry boxing thing would help. But I guess up in your part of the country, the world, depending on the conditions, is it still pretty cold there? Like, are you getting any humidity yet? Because that could be worse. And when I was in Boston yesterday, it was kind of chilly. I was like, man, I wish it was getting warm. Where's the warmth? Craig says, I almost threw up that one time. I had durian last summer when I was in Malaysia. My friends and I went out to dinner. And they were like, do you like durian? I was like, I think so. I haven't had it. I don't think I've had it in a long time, but I think I like it. So we ordered a dessert that had durian, very pronounced durian, like the fruit, like a custard of durian with like durian fruit on top of the custard, but even though it's a custardy kind of fruit. Yeah, I don't think I like it. I don't think I wasn't repelled or revolted by it to that point of vomiting, but I was like, oh yeah, I don't think I like this pungency. Brian says I got a 175 for 25, so a little okay, that's good. That's a good price. These are These are quite nice. George says the Olmec was fantastic, and now moving on to the El Triunfador Robusto. Nice, very nice. Back to the Pete, like Pete Johnson. But last week's dinner turned out well. Like, I enjoyed it. Of course, the additions, the add-ons, added like another $230, $220. I was like, oh, with tax and tip. I was like, oh my gosh, man. So $450 for the meal. It's kind of pricey. Kind of pricey. Craig says, Julian smelled like diesel. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Like, I think some people, if you don't love it, I think you have very harsh reactions to it. And I totally get that. Like, I know more people seem to dislike it than like, well, I guess that all depends. Like, here in Asia, a lot of people like it. I'd be willing to try it again to see if I don't really like it. But when it comes to jackfruit, I much prefer jackfruit. I'll eat jackfruit all day long. Actually, when I'm in Manila and I go to the Saturday market and Sunday market, one of the first things I do is go to the the fresh fruit vendor and buy like they sell like half a kilo of freshly picked, freshly ripe jackfruit. Oh man, so good. I love the flavor, the light sweetness, the crunchiness to the meat. Oh, so much nicer than the canned stuff. It's kind of like the difference between canned peaches and fresh peaches, right? And not the yellow peaches that are really really soft, but like the white peaches that are kind of like newly ripe, so they're still a bit crunchy. Like, oh, so delectable, so delectable. Is Steve out there yet? I don't know. Steve, you there with us? Let us know if you're there. Brian likes jackfruit. I like that too, man. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it, man. I was really surprised at the Asian markets in the last few years to see fresh jackfruit. Every time I go to the Lotte or the H Mart, I'm usually buying. I'm like, oh, jackfruit. I'm gonna buy that. They sell you in big wedges. You gotta strip yourself. If you ever decide to do it, make sure you oil your hands with like vegetable oil because man, their soup, the sap on the interior of the fruit is super sticky. So when you're trying to tear it out, it becomes really difficult. Just a light coating of oil. You don't put too much because you don't want to get too much oil on the fruit itself. But Brian says, "Serious racist, jackfruit." So come along. I do like this one. I like this one. The one we had last week, the 18, the Cusano 18, that was not very good. That was not very enjoyable. This is enjoyable. Not terribly bold, right? Like not bold like the Cro-Magnons or something, but very nice, very nice. Speaking of which, I didn't realize this till this morning. On the drive back from Boston, I decided that, okay, there's a lot of traffic through New York City, and I just hate traffic. I just can't stand it. And like when I'm going to Boston, I try to leave at a time when I can pass through New York City, like, and I'll take the George Washington Bridge. So I enjoy that. Cross Bronx Expressway and up into Connecticut. And especially since I like to stop off in New Haven, Connecticut to buy some pizza, have some lunch. So I'll try to leave Baltimore so that I can pass through New York sometime between 11 and 1. I find that to be relatively easy. But if it's outside of that, like later, man, you're kind of in trouble. And we went to the Tappan Zee on the way up and got into quite a bit of traffic. We passed through the Tappan Zee at 1:30. And then we just got traffic all the way up. So I was like, so terrible. So on the way back, we took a different route. Went north of the 95 through Hartford, Connecticut. across New York State on the 84, and then got on the 81 and took that south. And so I was like, let's go get some. So I'm trying to find a place to go, and then I found this listing as we're crossing across Connecticut for something called the University of Connecticut, the Yukon Dairy Bar. So the University of Connecticut is somewhere in the middle of Manchester or something like that, in the middle of the state, near, not too far, a bit east of Hartford. Evidently, they have a big agriculture program with cows. And so they had dairy cows. So they also have a whole ice cream processing plant. And they have an ice cream bar open to the public. So I was like, well, let's go check it out. We went there. Their ice cream is excellent. Like the creaminess, just beautiful structure. Like, man, they do it so well. Like their University of Connecticut does the Huskies do great ice cream. Their vanilla, like just beautiful structure, beautiful creaminess, unctuousness. The fat content is right. Like I can't believe, I just keep thinking, man, this has got to be closer to like 18% fat rather than the 10 to 15% ice cream normally is. We have Steven with us. What's going on, man? Good to have you. How you doing? How's work? What are you smoking tonight? So if you get the chance ever to be out there and somewhere outside of east of Hartford and you're near the University of Connecticut, go to this place. Like it's some great ice cream and it's cheap, right? Like I was with my parents, so I got them the medium cup of ice cream, which has 3 scoops. So I got them coconut, the husky tracks or whatever they call it, with it's basically vanilla with chocolate swirls and chopped peanut butter cups. And I got them some strawberry cheesecake. That and a 2-scoop cone, with the smallest 2 scoops on a sugar cone. I got the husky tracks and the vanilla, man, $11. I was like, what? $11? Like, if you go to some of these like fancy, like nice ice cream shops around here, man, it's gonna cost you more than $11. Like way more. For a great deal. Brian says, sending you some Roma Craft Bell Livingstone. I imagine you're talking to Steven, not to me. Although I would appreciate that too. So that was one thing. And then the next place we went, so that was our pre-lunch because it was on the way. And I was like, okay, we're going, I targeted this one place for lunch. And I found this listing for a place called Shady Glen Restaurant in Manchester. I think it's in Manchester. And the reason I wanted to go there, because I saw that this write-up about it, it was kind of like, okay, they do this thing with 4 slices of American cheese, and they basically hard griddle it, like they burn the crap out of it on the griddle. They put them all into a big square, 4 pieces. They burn it. And if you've ever been to Mexico and you've been to there's a place in Mexico called taco joint called El Califa. And El Califa, one of my friends, she loves this. She's like, she told me, what's it called? It's called chicharrón de queso, right? And basically they take, I don't know, Oaxaca cheese or whatever it is, and they put a ton of it on the plancha, and they just burn the crap out of it. Like they just burn it till it's melting, and it's like oily, and it just melts into this one big sheet, and then they roll the sheet up, they put it on a plate, they take it out to you, and when it comes to the table, it's crispy. It's a crispy sheet of cheese, and it's like, oh my God, it's so good. Similar thing with the American cheese. And they put it on a cheeseburger. They make a cheeseburger. It's sticking outside. This is the bun, and the sheet is sticking outside, but it's all bent and contorted. It kind of reminds me of the cap that Sally Field used to wear when she was in The Flying Nun. You know, they kind of tip like that. It kind of looks like that. So to me, it's like the flying cheese, and it's called the Bernice. The Bernice, the wife of the original owner, Bernice. This is her burger. They created, and it's famous for that. So we went there, had this cheeseburger at Shady Glen. They have platters. So you get the platter, you get like French fries, onion rings, whatever you want on there. There's coleslaw, there's lettuce tomato. I don't know why you want the lettuce tomato. That just seems a bit superfluous. Like, why do I want to have a side that's lettuce tomato? Just give me lettuce tomato, whatever. So I got rings. I got onion rings and French fries. My mom got some of the tomatoes and lettuce, so I took some of that. Put that. There was enough for the two sandwiches, so put that on my sandwich. And very nice, very nice. It was good. It was good. It wasn't great. The idea is cool. The meat was one of those like commercial frozen patties, so it kind of was. They didn't season it, so everything was a little bit bland. Like if you salted that thing, I bet it'd be awesome. But it was really nice, and the interior was like this old school diner, like from the 50s, like just booths everywhere, and it was really, kind of fun. And the thing is, they made this Diet Coke. I ordered Diet Coke, and like they're like, I get Diet Coke, and it reminds me of Diet Pepsi. I'm thinking, did they just give me Diet Pepsi? Because I said Diet Coke, and they didn't say anything about that. And I was like, is it Diet Pepsi? What the hell, man? Because it's kind of flat. It's kind of got that heavy sweetness. Diet Pepsi has that heavier sweetness than Diet Coke. So I asked the lady, I said, is this actually Diet Pepsi? This is Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi? She said, let's Diet Coke. All right, all right, all right. Maybe the mix is off. Maybe it's flat or something like that. Maybe the mix is off. All right, all right. So another waitress came up and she gave me a refill. She took my glass, took it away. Now it's a big soda fountain place, right? And I mean soda fountain like there's a soda fountain, right? Like this soda gun on the top. And I only caught her out of the corner of my eye as she was finishing it. Like she was filling the cup with this soda water fountain dispenser like this, right? When she brought my drink, I was like, I'm sorry, I said to her, I only caught the end of that, but are you using syrup to make the drink? She's like, oh yeah, we make it fresh. And I was like, which is something I've been thinking about a lot over the last, couple of years. Buying the syrup from Coca-Cola, which you can do. They come in boxes. And then making your own soda. But I realized then what the problem was with their setup. Because it doesn't have the carbonation. Like, one of the nice things about Coca-Cola is it's got this great carbonation, right? It's kind of got that sizzle, and if it's really, really cold, it gets that burn. You're like, right? That's the best part of Coca-Cola. But that's missing in this setup. And I realized I'm looking at how they do it. And if you look at the bubbles are big. The carbonation is big. What you want is, like, if you look at let's say you get a bottle, like a 20-ounce bottle, a plastic bottle of Coke, and you put that in like an ice bath, and you get it super cold, like that point that is like burning you, right? And when you click it open, you'll notice the bubbles are really small. That's because the carbon dioxide is more sublimated into the liquid. And the warmer it is, the less the sublimation happens, right? Like the warmer the Coke, if you ever poured warm Coke into a glass, you see the bubbles are pretty big. But if it's really cold, the bubbles are small. So I think that they're running a carbonator. Now they're compressing the water with CO2 in a carbonator, and it's pumping through the fountain. But I don't think it's well refrigerated. I think that's a big part of it. So I was like, oh, because by the time it gets to the table, which is only 10 feet away, it's kind of flat. And the key to carbonation is that you have to keep it cold. Right? That cold keeps it sublimated. So it's really, and actually, so as we're driving, I had a bottle of Coke in the car, bottle of Diet Coke, 20-ounce bottle. And you're battling, like I don't have any real refrigeration in the car, so the bottle was cold, but it's been getting warmer. And I poured some into a cup that had ice, and it's losing. It's not as sizzly as it could be. At one point, my dad, I don't know what he's doing. He's holding the bottle, and he clicks it open, and then closes it. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? And I was getting a little bit irritated. I was like, dude, don't do that. You're losing my carbonation. What the heck is going on there? But I was just like, that's not nice. That's not respectful. So I said, oh, Dad, you don't have to hold the bottle. Just put it in the little cup holder. It'll be fine. And he put it in the cup holder. I was like, oh my God, keep my carbonation. Craig says that McDonald's has the best carb. You know, a lot of times McDonald's does have really good carbonation programs, and my cigar has gone out. Can you believe that? Look at that. I gotta relight. Gotta relight. Oh, Jay Angles with it. What's going on, Jay, man? How you doing? Haven't been able to watch in a while. Very, very entertaining. I got nothing else to talk about except carbonation. All right, let us relight. Trying to get from the side. How's life in the restaurant business? I think the ratio for Coca-Cola is 5 to 1, right? 5 parts carbonated water to 1 part syrup. And I don't know if they still use this, but they used to have these like measuring devices. You know, those like things that you used to the people in the 80s used to measure the chemistry of chlorine in pool water. It's something like that. You kind of connect it. You take off the spout on those soda fountains. You stick it up there and you hit the button, and it should dispense 5 to 1 into this, and then you know you have the right ratio. I was really pleased years ago. It was maybe 20 years ago now. I was at the National Restaurant Association show in Chicago, and this was the year they were just starting to debut those machines, those soda dispensers that you see at Five Guys now. They're everywhere. All the Five Guys have them. You know, the electronic ones. You have the in the back. It has the paddle for the ice, and then you stick the thing. You hit the button, hit the screen, and it dispenses. You put the button. I think those do a very good job with the carbonation mix. I missed it. What was the syrup was made? So the syrup was actually just the just basically the Coca-Cola syrup, right? The Diet Coke syrup that you buy from your local Coca-Cola distributor. I don't know how they get. I mean, you can buy them in those boxes that you connect the hoses to, and it pumps it to the. Or I guess you can buy them other ways, but I had always been thinking about buying those boxes and just like making Coca-Cola. And I think they're like, if you get them from a distributor, I think they're about $175 a box or something like that. I think I just grab a whole box of that and just. Brian says we have those at work. Ooh, maybe you can grab a box and smuggle some out. Although I did find an online source that would sell you like a half gallon of the syrup. Like I guess what they're doing, they're buying it in bulk. I guess like by the box, and then they're portioning it out. So I think I saw the price there, $13 for a half gallon. I was when I was working on that carbonation system, I was planning on doing it. And I got to go back and revisit it, but I had that problem where I was using a beer carbonator, which just doesn't have enough oomph. Right? You need to beer carbonation units. The beer regulators push 60 psi. What you need is like 100 psi regulators. You need to get it. I need to buy another regulator. They're not terribly expensive. I just haven't gone for it. Brian says we have seltzer flavor machine. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, and turns out that the bottles that you get, like the ones that they all come in, Pepsi, Coke, all that stuff. Those bottles, those plastic bottles, are actually rated at 250 psi. Like you can inflate those to 250 before they explode. So if you're only carbonating to 100, 115, 120, you're not. They're more than suited for that. Tony says the new Wiseman was outstanding. Oh, so the new one, what do they call that? Is there a particular size on that, or is it a blend? And then moving to the 4 Kips Capa Lancera Especial. Oh, excellent. This, even though the relight has happened, there hasn't been a negative flavor bit due to the relight. We're still getting close to the end of the second third. They're smoking really well, like burn, construction, draw, quality of it. Very enjoyable. So this is episode 191, which means that we are coming up on episode 200, which means that we're pretty much doing this for almost 4 years or somewhere right around there. Kind of hard to believe that it's been 4 years. It's just the wise man Corojo or Maduro. Okay, gotcha. You know, like I can't believe it. Like it's kind of hard. I mean, just been doing this. It's really for enjoyment, to hang out with you guys, share stories, share experiences. But one of my cousins, she was talking to me. We were talking today. She's like, "I want to start a YouTube channel. I think you should go for it. Like, if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, you should go for it. We need more YouTube channels." And I've been kind of trying to encourage her for the last few months. I'm like, you know what? There are 2 billion users on the YouTube channels alone. 2 billion people every day that are watching YouTube. Somebody is going to like what you're making. Maybe a small community. You maybe want. You're not going to be Mr. Beast making with 256 million subscribers. Maybe not. Maybe. But you have. There's a way to build a community and find people that enjoy what you want to present. So I was encouraging her, I was telling, like, and the thing is, like, a lot of people, when you start out, you're always like, oh, it needs to be perfect. Right? You're thinking about perfection. Like, I need to have perfection. But the problem is, you're just starting out. It'll never be perfect. Nobody starting out is perfect. Nobody who's starting out can never have perfection, because you know what? You don't know enough to attain perfection or even be close to it. So just go for it. Like I've told a couple people that I know, that just make your videos and release it, because you know what? Nobody's going to watch it. Nobody's watching videos. Like they're not gonna. YouTube's not gonna serve it to hardly anyone. And even the big guy, Mr. Beast, right? His story is basically, he made 500 videos before people ever saw him, or people even noticed him. 500 videos. I mean, like, I've been doing this now, I guess, 4 years. We've probably produced at least 500 videos. And only this past couple weeks have I started to see, like, a change, right? Like, I've started to see a change in the number of subscribers that we're gathering. Like, for the last, like, year or two, like, we've averaged, the main channel has averaged 30 to maybe 43 new subscribers per month. Now we're at like 70 something. I was like, wow, man, it's only been like a few weeks. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, and I'm seeing more people commenting in the videos. And so we're getting a little more engagement. We're getting a little bit more, we're getting more watch time, more view count. So I'm like, ooh, maybe there's a change happening. Maybe, or maybe it'll just die out. Who knows? But I was telling my cousin, just go out and make your video. Like, she's like, well, I want to make it perfect. I was like, it's not going to be perfect. She's like, yeah, I want to work on it, and then I'm going to show it to you when I'm ready. And I'm like, and then maybe release. I was like, don't show it to me. Just send me the URL. Just make your channel, upload it, release it, send me the link, and I'll watch it. And I'll tell you what I think about it and what might be able to improve. But release, and that's the key. If you're going to do it, just release the video, man. It doesn't matter. Just get it out there, because the key is to do it, right? It's just like cigars, right? You'll never understand cigars unless you smoke one, and you have to start with something. You got to start somewhere. You just can't be like, well, what's the right cigar? No, any cigar is the right cigar. Just smoke one and see if you like it. I think a lot of people get into that analysis paralysis thing. Ooh, I'm going to say that we're on the last third now. And I think that it has been very good. I'm going to say 8585 for flavored body. Mm. Tony says that the cigar has the same crossband as the Manilic did. Oh, I'm not too familiar with that. No more donkeys and Spaniards. Oh, okay. I think that's a good thing, right? As Tin Cup said, perfection is unattainable. Agreed. And I was telling you, like, if I look at the videos that I released 3 years ago, and I saw one recently, and I was like, when I made it, I was like, okay, solid. I'm solid. That's good. It's good. I like it. If I look at it now, I'm like, ooh, kind of cringy, like, ooh, so not as good as it could have been. It's like, ooh, but that's how it should be, right? There should be a progression of improvement. It's like, like cigars, like when you started out years ago, and if you've been enjoying it, tastes probably have changed. Would you enjoy this cigar that you enjoyed tremendously back then as much today? Like I have a box of Cuesta Rays. Cuesta Ray tubos. They come in a glass tube, and there's a box of 10, still in my humidor, from the mid 90s. And I remember when I was starting up, guys with some of the guys that had more experience, I mean, they would describe some cigars as being really creamy. And I was like, creamy? That just sounds weird. I don't understand that. And I got this Cuesta Ray. My God, it was creamy. I was like, oh, this is a creamy luxuriant kind of feel to it. So I bought a box. I smoked one from that box. There's still 9 more in their glass tubes unopened, 25 some years later. And I'm scared to try them now. I haven't tried them because I'm like, well, maybe my taste will probably change. Well, I still enjoy it. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I should go back to it. Oh, but anyway, like I was saying, we were driving, and on the way down, I decided let's go to. Since we're coming down 81, I was like, oh, we need to stop by Hamburg to go visit Cigars International. Well, turns out I didn't think about it. I didn't realize it, but Cigars International is not off of 81, because you could just come down to 81 to the 83 and drop down. Well, actually, 81 is like this or like this, right? For you guys, for your viewpoint. But the Hamburg is actually off the 78, which is parallel but south of the 81. So we had to like weave our way down. But I got there and I was looking for some cigars. I found they have I don't know if you've seen this, but Gurkha has a cigar there in a glass tube, $2,300. And I was like, what? So I asked the guy, I said, hey, what do you get for $2,300? He's like, a receipt. Smart ass. I was like, he's like, it's just a cigar. And I was like, really? $2,300? And evidently it used to cost $700. But at $700, evidently employees with their discount would buy the cigar. Management didn't like that. I guess they were buying a lot of them. Craig says, I'm scared to smoke my Cohibas. I hear you in that. I hear you. Never know. You're like, oh, it may not be as good. I want to enjoy it. And I was like, $2,300. So they bumped up the price to $2,300 because I guess at that price point, even with your employee discount, it's still a lot of money. And I don't know how much they get off. He was being coy about that. But I'm just like, $2,300 for a Gurkha. I'm hard pressed to believe I would spend $10 for a Gurkha. I'm not going to spend $2,300 for it. It just sounds like craziness. I don't know what you guys think, but maybe you've heard about this one. I don't know. But I did get a God of Fire 2022 release that will feature on the show later. And what else did I pick up? I picked up this thing called Black Market or not Black Market, but Black something. It was like a $5 cigar. I was like, $5 cigar. I'll stay with that. Give that a try. I asked the guy, oh, do you know what this is like? He's like, actually, I've never had that one. I was like, it was box pressed. Looked kind of nice. Hopefully, it has a nice flavor, and $5 cigar would be a great thing to use. But they had the Cro-Magnon, so I picked up a Cro-Magnon. But I didn't think about it till this morning that these are still the old school Cro-Magnons, not the new Pennsylvania Cro-Magnons. So now I need to find the Pennsylvanias and buy some more of those old ones. Because I was thinking maybe we'll do a head-to-head. Pennsylvania, old school. Maybe, if I can get them. Tony says, unless it's a collection of Especial, is that, you mean for the Gurkha? I mean, I guess it was, but it's a big glass tube. I think it even had like this multicolored like wax, like it was dipped in wax, kind of like how you do Maker's Mark. I think that's what, or something like that. I looked at it and I was like, $2,300. That's a bit crazy. And so it was in this room. The room had a really, like it was in a room of cigars. And this room was like for like the ultimate cigars available. And they had God Fires, they had like, the high-end Padrones and all these high-end cigars. And but they had the entire line of Fuentes in there. And I'm like, including the ones you'd get like in It's a Boy and It's a Girl cigar. And I'm like, you put that cigar and these green labels in this palace of what's supposed to be the very best cigars in the world? I was like, come on, man. That's giving Fuente a little bit too much like hype. Like I'm like, they're good. They're solid. They're classic cigars. But man, to put the lowest end of Fuentes in amongst the God of Fire and like the Padrones and whatever else crazy stuff, Cohibas, whatever crazy high expensive stuff in there, I'm just like, come on, man. Those belong in the discount bin for the cheap cigars. Brian says the $2,300 better be a box of 400. Even then, would you really want to have that? Tony says that the Gurkha I can't believe is very good. Not that we the Gurkha I can't believe is very good. That we got to. Oh, was that a Gurkha? I don't remember it being stellar, but maybe it was good. But the Gurkha, man, I don't know. I can't. I won't say never, but I don't think I've had a Gurkha that I really, really liked. Or is that true? I mean, I've had a Rocky Patel that I really, really liked. And, so I'm open to change. I'm open to change. That World Cigar Competition Championship Moreva, hella good. Hella good. George says the Cigar Obsession reviewed the $750 Gurkha, and it took him 5 minutes to get out of the glass tube. He had to use small needle tip pliers to get it out. That's funny. I'll have to go look that up. Do you remember what he said about it? Did he enjoy it? I haven't seen anything from Cigar Obsession since he moved to, what did he move to? He moved to Odyssey or to Rappler or to whatever the Trump guys like to post on. He moved there because evidently YouTube canceled him on YouTube. Actually, it's him and Jeremy Sears that are the reason that this channel exists, the OnoLive channel, because, Cigar Obsession got kicked off. And Jeremy Sears was like, oh, I got to be careful. And I was like, well, I better move all the videos. Because we were doing all the live stream. These shows we're doing on the main channel. And I was like, well, the main channel is the main channel. I don't want to risk that being taken down because of cigar content. So we created this channel. So if this channel gets taken down, that will suck. But it won't affect the main channel. But so far, not too many problems. Nobody's... Rumble. That's it, Rumble. Tony says, I did a show on it. White band made by PBR, rated well. Oh, did it? Okay, good. Because I had the PBR recently. The new 1975 series Privada, whatever they call it. The ones that I used for the SP 54s that were the box press. Now they're like Toro size and new packaging and new blend. I didn't enjoy it as much. Sorry, Abe. I really want to love it. Like I really do. Like that Serie Privada 1975 SP54. Oof, Mamma Mia. That was delicious, delicious, delicious cigars. This new one that I had was not that equal. Was not up to that standard. We had it at the Sporting Clay range the other week. Getting a little bit of an even burn. A little bit harsher on that last puff. Maybe I'm going a little bit too fast. So maybe hold back for a couple minutes. How's our coffee? Coffee should be quite hot still in this nice thermal. I think also one of the difference between this is that I think if I remember, this is not a 12-ounce serving. I think it's closer to 10 ounces. So the ratio is greater. The coffee ratio is greater to the water than the morning one. So that's why I'm getting a little bit of different result as far as the flavor. It might be a little more positive result. So what do you guys got going on this weekend? Anything happening? If you're interested, at the National Arboretum starting tomorrow through Sunday, they're having the Spring Bonsai Show that's being sponsored by the Virginia Bonsai Society. I was planning on going Saturday, and then my aunt was like, our other aunt, my other aunt, she's like, having her birthday on Saturday. I was like, oh, man. And then I was like, well, then I'll go Sunday. And then she was like, it's Mother's Day. No bonsai for me. But if you're interested, National Arboretum Bonsai Festival this weekend. They're going to have a lot of vendors, some demonstrations, a little bit of like seminars. Should be pretty awesome if you like bonsai. And like, of course, the National Arboretum has an incredible collection of bonsai, which I've never seen. I've always wanted to go. Never done it, never seen it. So, but they're supposed to be incredible collection. So if you have the time, I think it's worth to go check it out. This starts actually tomorrow. And I was planning on thinking, I thought maybe go tomorrow, but then it's supposed to rain. I'm like, I don't want to go in the rain. Craig says, I have some nice Gurkha tin posters that I wanted at her. That's about as close as I get. I mean, I hear you on that. And like, I got to be honest, I don't know if I'd even, I don't know if I'd even want that. I'm sorry. I know that sounds very like judgmental. It's not meant to be judgmental. Brian says, I went to that several years ago. It was pretty fascinating. Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, I've been wanting to go. I used to do bonsai when I was in college. Like, I had an interest in it, and I found there's a local bonsai association in Honolulu. And I went, started learning from these masters who've been doing it for like 30 years at the time. This is like 1988. So they've been doing it since like the 50s and 60s. And had my own tree, had it for several years. I don't know what happened to it. I think it got stolen. But I haven't really gotten back into it since I moved back here. I was thinking I want to get back into it. So I still have my tools. I was hoping to go down there to refresh my memory and get reinvigorated. I did buy a tree for bonsai a couple months ago, back in March. Craig says Battleship New Jersey is in a dry dock in Philly. Oh, I was thinking of going until I bought the new house. Oh, you should go, man. You should go. If you decide to go, let us know. Maybe we'll come up and have a cigar with you in Philly. That'd be nice. I heard that the Holtz was a little bit of a debacle. So last time someone I know went there, they were like, it's kind of weird and crazy down there. But there's a couple other places we can go. There's Widmer's is real nice. They're real small, but nice. That's a little bit outside the city to the south. There's also a place called Louis. Is it Louis? There's a guy, a little bit of a crazy guy. I met him at the Roma Craft Weasel Fest. He's in Fishtown. Evidently an interesting lounge. But there's other places to go if you're interested. Let us know. Tony says, have we decided on the 200th? I don't know. Are you guys up for a trip to New Jersey? I think we still can put that together. Let me know what you think about that. Brian says the Fountain Pen Hospital has the Rami titanium back when I had an 18 karat gold. Get the 18 gold. I gotta say, when we're at the Baltimore Pen Show, I did try some more of those pens that are gold tip. Ooh, so nice. Like, actually, I do have a gold tip pen. I bought one of those thinner barrel Mont Blanc Meisterstück gold tipped fountain pen. And I was writing with it not too long ago. Man, there really is a big difference between my Lamy Safari, my cheap $50 Lamy Safari, and this gold tip beauty. Like, it is so smooth and like, oh my gosh, man. So nice. And I've been playing more with this brand called Touchy. Touchy, they make pens. They also make inks, and I've been playing with that. I've got this one. I bought two inks at the show. A nice like touchy green ink, and I've been using the Iroshoku from Pilot green. I really like that one. But this other green really nice. I have the green in the Esterbrook, the touchy green, the Esterbrook, and the Safari. I use the Pilot Green. And I also got this beautiful red from Touchy. They had this red that was like so sexy. I was like, God, that's the red that I like. It's like Pilot makes a red. Pilot G2. They're like roller ball, the gel pens. They're red pen. I love the color of that. But they don't really make that. I haven't been able to find that like in a fountain pen color. But this Touchy is close to that. I'm like, oh, that is just so brilliantly red. It's like the Louboutin of like red pens, red inks. Yeah, we're talking for the festival. So yeah, definitely. Open to that. Open to that. Just got to figure out if we want to do it. Luliga. That's exactly it. Luliga. Oh, the Lamy. Yes, the Lamy Gold Nib. Is that what you're saying? Oh, Lamy Titanium. Back when I had 18 karat. Ah, gotcha. I mean, the Lamies are great. I only have the cheapest one, the Safari, the entry level, the $50 one, and I enjoy using that. I use that the most of them, all the pens that I have. And it's perfectly fine. But if I compare the way that writes to the gold tip Meisterstück, man, there's a massive difference. Like it's night and day. Like it's like butter. It's like beautiful butter. I regret today that I didn't spend the money back in the '90s to buy the thick mother. Like I bought a bunch of those rollerball ones because I love the rollerball, but I should have bought more of the fountains. That was a mistake. And actually, I really had a shameful moment. Maybe 6 months ago. I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace, and there was this guy on Facebook Marketplace that had a gallon Ziploc baggie filled with like bits and pieces and full whole pens of like Mont Blancs, and he was like $150. And I was like, I'll wait. And then it was gone. It was gone right away. Like some guy was like smart enough to like call and be like, I'm coming right over, right away, right now. That guy got a hell of a deal. Brian says, I like that retractable Lamy. Oh, yeah, that was nice. That does clip with no, that doesn't have a cap. Oh, yeah, that was cool. That was a cool pen. I like that too. Sexy. But I think that was like $300. Is that right? The one that I got that I thought I really liked, I did buy a pen that show. The guy gave me a real good deal. I think it was like $65. Super deal. I think it's like 120 normally. I can't remember the name. It's not Pelican. It's a Turkish brand, I think it is. But it had a really pretty like barrel that was like what is it called? Blue acrylic, nice blue acrylic with like a metal casing around it. I think it was. I think it's a. Is it pink gold? Maybe it's silver, but I mean, it's super nice. Looks all like fancy. I'm like, oh, that looks like the fanciness. I haven't been to a fancy place enough to wear it. Now that we're getting closer, it's a little bit on the harsher side, but not bad. It is definitely harsh. I'm having it's threatening to go out, so I'm pulling on a little bit harder. Coffee's still hot. It's good. One thing about this cigar, especially compared to that Don Lupe that I had going to San Diego, this generates a lot of saliva. The Don Lupe didn't. Like this one, every puff it generates. Brian says the one with the 14 karat gold nib, $400 with the flat black. Ooh, that's not bad. Not a bad price. For a nice pen, that's not a bad price. But one thing I had to be careful with, like, so when I first got to the show, I was at that booth where I bought that nice pen. The guy that was the salesman was an Israeli guy. And he was talking to this other guy that was there, pen collector. He's one of those guys that like really geeky about pens. And he was like, I'm thinking about buying these pens. He wanted to buy a couple pens. And the Israeli guy was like, I'm not selling any pens. I was like, what's going on here? He said, I'm not selling you any pens. I refuse to sell you pens. The other guys can sell you pens. I will not sell you pens. And I was like, what's going on here? Is he Palestinian or something? Why is he not going to sell him pens? And he was like, you have too many pens. So they knew each other really well. And actually, what I gathered later as I stayed there more is that there's a whole group of people that go from show to show that are enthusiasts in this community, and they all know each other. And this guy knew this guy for many years. And he's like, dude, you have too many pens. You do not need to buy any more pens. And I was telling the guys, well, how many pens do you have? He's like, I've got 1,600 pens. 1,600 pens. He's got like pens like we have cigars. Like, you don't need to buy more pens. And I was like, dude, you don't need to buy more pens. You have plenty of pens. You can't even use them all. He's like, but I love them. I was like, I get it. I get it. Okay, it's kind of gone out. It's going to be light. A little bit harsher now. Craig says, I have this issue with espresso machines. Oh, how many machines do you have? I would say technically, I have 5 espresso machines. I've got one of these La Valentina E61 heat exchange tabletop like home machines. I've got 2 Krups cheap espresso machines that were gifted to me by the competitions years and years ago that I've never opened. They're still in their boxes. And then I have 2 La Marzocco Lineas. One is completely disassembled, the 4 group, and I have a 2 group that should still work that I was using in the last shop. I was thinking about buying another one. So if you've been seeing the main channel videos, I recently did a video about the meticulous from this guy in Mexico, Carlos, who's making this machine. It's supposed to be like a robotic lever machine, and what it does, it's got this mechanism that mimics the operation of a lever machine. And I was like, kind of cool. You get it now, right now. If you go to their Indiegogo, they're going to be releasing them soon. Right now, you can buy it for $1,300. When they finally are fully released, they'll be like $1,800 or $1,900. So it's a good deal to get on the ground floor. Baldhead says, yes, but you have a shop. Yes, that's. Oh no, I also even have I also have a Europa Cola, so I have technically 6. Although the Europa Cola is not really mine, the La Pavoni, it's actually a friend of mine, and he actually was like, take this La Pavoni and make a video with it of you rebuilding it. And I brought it to my shop at the time. This is like 3 years ago. I bring it to the shop and I'm using it, playing with it to see where does it need to be repaired. And I'm like, it's perfectly in great condition. It works amazingly. Like there's no issue at all. There's no leakage. There's nothing wrong with it. And I'm like, I cannot. I feel like yes, I want to make video content, sure. And there's actually the first video on that series that's on the channel. If you go back 3 years, you'll see the video. I think there's 2 of them. But I feel like I can't in good conscience tear this machine apart and rebuild it because there's no reason to rebuild it. Like it totally works. It's one of those things that I like, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix, right? So Craig says that Meticulous is being sued for IP theft. I think they're also suing, from what I've heard, they're also suing Decent. Is that right? I don't know. And I think I have to, 10. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let me know what you have. I'm curious. I'm curious to know. Have you decided what machine you'll use in the shop? So here's one of the things I've been thinking, right? So I've been traveling around, talking to people and listening to what they're doing and visiting places to see what they're doing in their shops. And I have one of the ideas. So part of the reason I was thinking of Meticulous, I like the Meticulous because it's very small, tabletop. And you can just pull one shot at a time. And since you're like the Flare 58, you're pouring the water into the machine and you're using that water. So this allows, I'm thinking this allows me to use different water formulations for different coffees, should I decide. And for the main part of the shop, the public facing part of the shop, it's going to be brewed coffee. I'm not planning to espresso at all. Right? Like if you come up to the window, you're going to get brewed coffee, regular decaf, maybe a single origin, and cold brew, and then pastry. And that's really going to be the entire offering. Like there'll be nothing else. Because we want to be fast, we want to be quick, we want to be efficient, and just go, 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 go. Boop, 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 boop. Right? An espresso, man, I gotta like teach people how to make espresso, which is a long process, and then you gotta make the drinks, and that takes a longer time. You gotta steam the milk and put it all together. Who wants to do? I won't do any more of that. So the only place right now that I'm seeing espresso is in. I'm gonna have a component where you're gonna come inside, you're gonna sit down, and you're gonna have an experience with coffee. One of those iterations is I'm thinking will be like. And this is why the meticulous, I think, works well. And I was thinking about buying the Cafe Logic Nano 7 roaster that you see in the videos also. One of my friends in Manila, she just bought one, and she's like, this is really awesome. And I'm stealing this idea from her because this was her idea. She was like, she was telling me she's going to do a pop-up. She's a producer in the Philippines. She's like, I want to do a pop-up. She's got a friend that owns this really fancy restaurant. She's going to take over her bar and do the bar at this restaurant, do a pop-up twice a year when the harvest comes. And the idea is that you take the coffee, you're gonna sit down. We're gonna present the coffee to you, and here's the green. Now we're going to roast it. You get to experience the roasting of the coffee in front of you, like as you're sitting there, roast the coffee, and then we're gonna prepare the coffee for you, right? Because I have found that if you brew coffee immediately after roasting, you still get great performance out of the coffee, like it's beautiful performance. If you wait 24 hours, it's all gone to crap, right? It'll go to crap for another week. So my thought is that you come in, you presented the green coffee, we roast it, we prepare it for you. Maybe prepare it as an espresso, maybe as a siphon or some other kind of preparation, and then you drink it. And it takes like an hour, and you get this whole experience out of it. And I'm thinking maybe that we'll do it so that like you'll come in, let's say you get we roast up 150 grams of the coffee. We use 24 grams of it, so you'll take home 100 grams as your like take home, and then you can make it yourself. That's one thing. But I think the way to do it is that you get it'll be sit down by appointment, and there'll be different ways of enjoying coffee. That'll be one iteration of it, and then there'll be the other ones where there'll be pairings with it, tastings. So I've been to a couple places. Like I went to Cocoon in Japan last summer. My friend Hide and Miki, they have this really interesting coffee experience. Like you're sitting inside they basically are using inspiration from those Japanese tea kettles, the iron tea kettles. So you're kind of like, they've designed it so you're kind of sitting in this space that's like a tea kettle. Like you've climbed inside the tea kettle and you're sitting inside the tea kettle getting served coffee. And you have to go through this like portal. Like, you know how the Apollo astronauts or even these new, I don't know, SpaceX astronauts are climbing into the capsules? Like you have to climb in like that. And it's like, what is this craziness, right? But that is interesting. And so one of my friends, speaking of the K's lever, I got to see the prototypes of it when I was there a couple of years ago. K's, I called up K's. I was like, hey, man, because K's always like, over the years, I've known K's since like 2005. And K's is always like, man, you need to get my machine. I'm like, I do. I just can't afford it. You know, his spirits, like, my friend John Piquet, who owns Cafe de Bola, he's got the K's machines. He's got the spirit. And I'm like, oh, that is such a sexy machine. Like, I totally would. I've been wanting that machine forever. And now they have the Spiritello, which is a lever machine, single root lever. And they've released the price on it. It's like $15,600. Totally worth it. Like my friend John, he's like, I'm going to go buy it. I got to buy it. He's like, oh, dude, you going to buy that? He's like, yeah. Because at the time when I saw him, we were talking about it. He's like, how much do you think it is? I think it's probably going to be 20. He's like, no way it's going to be 20. You get the Spirit for 20. And that's a 2-group. And I was like, all right, maybe a little bit less, maybe 19. But turns out it's 15.6. So in this case, like the case that I'm talking about for this service, like I would love to have it. Like it's super sexy. That lever is just, gosh, it's so nice. Anyway, but the thing is like, not the problem, but the thing is like that uses a reservoir. And so if you want to change waters, you've got to refill the reservoir with the new formulation. And so the nice thing with the meticulous, you just pour the amount of water you're going to use for that shot, and you can change the water that's inside. So that's the big difference. And I think that's where the difference for me is going to lie. Brian says, I laughed so hard at that robotic machine. What am I missing? I even watched the episode twice because I thought you were just. No, I do think there's some for me in my mind. This particular application, I think, is where that would shine. Years ago, as I was getting the coffee, I remember I asked a friend of mine who was actually the guy that really kind of got me into the coffee sphere. He had a Solus 5000, right? And I was like, "Oh, that's really easy. You hit the button, it grinds, it does everything. You pull the shot." And I said to my friend, I said, "Dude, what if I use this in the shop?" And he was like, "No way, man. That will not work. It's just too slow. It just doesn't have. It's not going to work." And I was like, "All right, okay, guys, I guess that won't work." And that was Brian, right? So Brian was the one that really got me into coffee. And in this case, the meticulous is for home. It's a home. It's a consumer machine, consumer driven. But in this case of like if you're sitting down, individual servings that are not time dependent, one of the things in a commercial setting is like you're trying to serve customers at hopefully at a volume. So there's a time factor that you need to produce shots multiple times, steam a lot of milk. This is not that machine. This is a terrible machine for you would totally destroy that machine under those circumstances, as well as kill yourself. You're like adding water and like doing all this. That's not but for the purpose of like making one drink with no time pressure and changing water formulations if you want. I think it could be really, really compelling in that respect. Yeah, definitely go check it out. It's called the Spiritello. It's on the Kees van der Westen, Kees van VANDER Westen WESTEN. Kees van der Westen. It's a sexy machine. I think sexy. Yeah, and 15.6, I think is what it is. Yeah, and you can't put a price. So I think and that's the thing. So with the meticulous, you can take your time because you're not, we're talking like an hour experience. So like you're making one drink in that entire hour. That's not too. That's a way to really get into it, right? Tetsubin. I've heard of that coffee place. Tetsubin. Interesting. I'm not sure if I've heard of that. Craig says, I take a Flare 50 over the meticulous. And there's a strong argument for the Flare 58. Flare 58 you can get for like $800. And it kind of does the same thing as the meticulous in that you can change the water because you're adding the water to it, right? For each shot. And I can't say anything bad about the Flare because you know what? I had the best espresso of my entire career that was made on a Flare 58 back in Bangkok. Don Chan, the Hong Kong barista champion, owns One Coffee Roasters in Thailand. And I happened to go there and he was like, dude. And I was like, dude. And he made for me this espresso. He actually did this. He did this experience where he took the coffee, the green coffee, took it outside, put it into an Ikawa coffee roaster that does 60 grams and cost $4,000. Roasted it, brought it inside, ground it, made it espresso in this Flare 58, and man, it was the best espresso I've had in my entire career. The best. Like, it was awesome. So it's totally possible. And the nice thing about the Flare, it's super small and compact. Like, it's smaller than the meticulous. The meticulous has a lot of flair to it, I think. I think it's kind of a cool looking machine. I was thinking if I get it, I'd like to get it in white instead of black. But then someone was like, one of my friends was like, well, it's going to get stained. Well, maybe get stained. The white, that wouldn't be so pretty. But I don't know. I think about the white. The white I have this nicely dark, like kind of reddish paw dog counter for the bar. Think about using that. And that with the background of the green wall that you saw painted already with the white machine, might be kind of cool. Maybe. Craig says that the cow home 100 grams is about a 1K. Oh, really? It came down because the original Flare, the one that does 60 grams of coffee, I think it was like $3,600, right? And I was like, that's crazy. Why am I gonna spend $3,600? And I know a lot of people in coffee love it. They're like all about it. I'm just like, that's that seems stupid to me. 1,000, not bad. But here's the problem. So 1,000 for the Ikawa. For $1,300 with the Nano 7, you can get upwards of 200 grams. And I'm like, that extra 100 grams makes a big difference. I thought 60 was like, that's just, to me, I don't even really think about the 60. I'm like, why would you do that? Because you can't even roast the 5 samples for a full cupping. It's like, that should have been the minimum, like 60 grams. Like, what the hell? Right, this has gone out again. And we're past 10 o'clock, so I'm not going to battle this anymore, unfortunately. So let's have a look at our scoring. So the first two, very good. First 2/3, very good. I gotta say that the last third has to drop. I'm gonna say the body still 8.5. Flavor, I'm gonna have to say 8. Burning draw overall had been very good. I would have said excellent, but it went out it went out 3 times, and the last time I'm just stopping. I'm not gonna push it. Consistently, flavor wise, I'm gonna say 8. It's very good, but not very good plus, right? And overall, nothing dropped below 8. So I'm going to say 8.25 for the overall. So we got 17 and 17 is 34. Plus 16.5 is 50.5. 58.5 plus 16.5, carry the 1. 9, 15, carry the 1, 75. Huh. So 83.25. There it is, 83.25. So pretty good. I'll drop that into the rankings. That should do fairly well, I think, overall for the year. All right. Well, there it is. So I don't know. I mean, I don't have any final decisions on what exactly the equipment. I mean, but the reality is, I don't think I'm going to buy any of those things because I already have the E61 La Valentina, which it does have a reservoir, so I won't be able to do that. But I figured maybe we'll start off with that. I've got the Quest M3 for the roaster. That's a drum roaster rather than an air roaster like everything else we've talked about. So if I want to do those things, I can start with that. And then let's say start with that, make money, and then if necessary, buy the other equipment later. So that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. Could change. Like right now, I'm still working on the formulation of what we're going to do. Like I'm still not fully committed to any particular process or approach. All right, so that's pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Good to see all of you. Thanks for being here. And back again next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, with another coffee and cigars live stream. I'm so used to saying the coffee Q&A. But back again with the coffee Q&A tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on the main channel. So if you have time, come and join us if you're there. If not, join us again next week for the Thursday night hang. Always good to see you guys. But think about that. Ridgewood, New Jersey. Should we go for the 200th sometime in July? All right. So, all right, Tony, good to see you, man. Tony, Steven, Brian, Craig, and Bud, and everyone out there. Young, good to see you, man. Good to have your mom, of course. Always good to see you guys. All right. So, hope you have a great week. Hope you have a great weekend. Go see your mom on Sunday, Mother's Day. Don't forget to buy a nice gift for her, All right. So, hope you have a great one, and see you next time.